Yeah.
So, you know, that's it for our multiplayer block for now. We are about to jump into Smash Run. We're going to talk a little bit about some of the customization that you can find there, specifically the custom loadouts that come with that. So our driver, Brendan, right now is going to back out and jump into that mode.
Right.
What you were going to say, yeah?
Well, Smash Run, you know, so the thing that's interesting to me, you know, looking at this from like a holistic perspective, you notice Smash Run is on the main menu, and it's kind of like it's like in the middle of the screen. It's touted as like one of the like main central modes, and I think that's such an interesting choice because like, you know, to get to like classic and like all-star mode and stuff, you know, like the more familiar like modes that, you know, older gamers of the Smash franchise are familiar with, those are like kind of tucked away in the games and more area, and so I think it's really interesting how like Smash Run is this like really big central thing.
Okay.
And you know, I'm really excited to see like how, you know, how Nintendo like has implemented. I only really got to play it once at E3, like once or twice, and I didn't play with any human opponents.
Okay.
I played, you know, with computers because I was kind of at the, you know, I was at the showroom floor at an awkward hour kind of thing.
Okay. So right here, what you're looking at is sort of the customization options, and specifically we're looking at equipment. So a lot of the action is actually happening on the bottom screen to the right, and you're seeing sort of the results projected on the top. Here, as you play this mode and as you play other modes in Smash Brothers, and for context, Smash Run is an exclusive mode for 3DS. You are unlocking different sort of equipment that some of it is character specific and some of it actually isn't. Some of it is broad and can be used across multiple characters. And you'll see it in the icon. So for example, Fire Emblem character might have like a specific sort of sword in the icon instead. And that's something that therefore only that character can equip and use in Smash Run. And then there are the powers themselves, which we're going to get to in a second. You can also sell equipment, which you're seeing there. So we're going to jump down to...
So it's this whole like RPG-esque sort of like aspect to it, you know, like when I think about, you know, equipping things to a character and like decking them out in the way I want to deck them out, like that's kind of what they're going for.
Yeah, absolutely, and they're using a weight system to keep you within a restriction, right? So you see the total weight is 16, and therefore you know you go around and sort of pick the moves you want to use. Like right there, he used up 15 points, and he can totally do that. He can go in with just one power. And these powers are on the bottom touchscreen. You will tap them and activate them. It's very reminiscent to Kid Icarus Uprising, which there was sort of a powers sort of focus there as well that you can sort of customize and use
up to a certain limit.
Yeah, up to a certain limit. That one was more visual. It was actually like Tetris, almost like a jigsaw, almost like, remember Resident Evil 4 Suitcase?
I didn't play that.
You were like, okay, well, you would sort of set up items and try to make the most out of the space that you had.
Okay, that reminds me of the Mega Man Battle Network franchise.
Okay.
So, certainly something, you know, we're familiar with. Actually, you know, this is probably, to me, it like mostly correlates. You ever played Paper Mario?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like, to me, it reminds me of the badge system a lot.
Yeah,
so.
And here's the custom movesets, and these, again, unlock as you play.
These are like Kirby moves specifically that
yes, absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
And you have your different specials, so your neutral, your side special, your up and down specials, and you can unlock these for the Mii Fighter, and we're going to get into that later, but the Mii Fighter for all three styles, Brawler, Swordsman, or the Gunner style, they're all unlocked from the start. So you don't have to unlock any additional moves for Mii Fighter. But for the main characters, you have to keep playing Smash in order to get them.
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense. I feel like, and you know, it's interesting from a from like a competitive standpoint. You know, a lot of people, because you know, I'm talking to a lot of the tournament players who are like, you know, we're discussing like how Smash 4 tournaments are going to play out and like how we, you know, how people want to set these things up. And it's been like a pretty interesting point of discussion, like, how are we going to handle customizable movesets? You know, because people are saying, like, yo, should we let those rock? Like, how much are they going to impact the game? And, like, how, you know, I mean, I think a lot of it is, like, do we, I'm really interested in seeing how they're implemented because are they going to give an unfair advantage to, like, certain people or, like, you know, I think my kind of opinion on it right now is, like, yo, I want to let it rock. I want to let people, like, I think the customizable thing is, like, a really, really interesting concept. Yeah. And, you know, I'm hoping that it just gives us this new array of like viable play styles that people can have because I'm all about variety.
No, so. Yeah, I think that's really important. And at least in my experience so far with the moves that I have unlocked and seen, it feels like they're sort of similar moves, but just with a sort of a different touch to them.
Oh, I was looking at, like Kirby's got like, okay, side specials are mostly like variants on the hammer.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Okay. And you'll see that in most cases. I think very rarely you'll see something that's completely out of left field and different. Yeah. But, you know, so as you're seeing, and if you haven't seen Smash from before, basically each player right now is segmented and separated in a huge sort of environment.
Yeah, huge. Kind of reminds me of like Subspace Emissary from Brawl.
Yeah, you're seeing a map of it right now in the bottom right, and they cannot touch each other for the next 5 minutes.
They can see each other.
Yes, they can see where the other person is, and updates do show up on the bottom screen saying, okay, player 1 just found a chest, or player 2 has died. Yeah, that kind of deal. And oh man, Kuko's.
Yeah, I wonder if I was gonna say maybe this guy hasn't played the Zelda games. You should know never to piss off those cuckoos.
Yeah, that's true.
Incidentally, yo, this is this Kirby color is like maskless Meta Knight. You notice that?
Yes,
that's absolutely what this is.
That's one of the reasons why Brendan, the player who is currently driving most of the stream, he picked him. He was like, Brendan? Oh yeah, this is absolutely maskless Meta Knight to me. I'm totally gonna rock this.
Yeah, definitely.
He's a big fan. Yeah, and you know, this is probably the mode where you also see a lot of the history just collide. Like all of these enemies.
Yeah, Plasma Wisp.
Yeah, totally come from completely different series and franchises. And you can die in this mode, but luckily as Kirby, you can also float.
Right.
If you die, you do lose some stats, but not a lot.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and also, you know.
And you come back.
Yep.
Okay.
Yes, you do come back and you jump in and you try and make up for lost time and ground essentially. Yeah. So right now, let's see, we have a lot of jump. It's kind of interesting to me because one of my criticisms on Smash Run right now is I do enjoy it, and I feel the randomness is kind of what makes it appealing.
Right.
But I do worry that 5 minutes is a really long amount of time. I do feel like I'm here for a while.
So
before
it's not. You can't pick how long you want to do the run itself for.
Yeah, that's what I'm glad you brought that up. Actually, yeah. So there is customization options in terms of powers, but if you did notice. Yeah, there isn't any in terms of the amount of time for the match. It will always be 5 minutes, and you will have 5 minutes to run around this playground. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, but I feel when the random element is involved, because after this run, you will be tossed into what is essentially a battle, and it can be of any type.
Yo,
sometimes it's a race.
Kirby's jumping really high right now. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I'm seeing that. Oh, wow.
So what I know, okay, this is just my observation for playing it once.
Okay.
Smash Run once. What I noticed, and I think I'm going to mirror some of your sentiments here. So like you see maybe this is completely different based on the different like Smash Run areas or what have you, but what I noticed is when you go around, there's not a whole lot of like strategy as to like, oh, I want to get, you know, maybe you're on some sort of time constraint, say, and you need to choose between powering up your strength versus your speed. Okay. And you know, and I'm thinking like, oh, that'd be interesting if you had to like go a different place in the map if you want like a specific thing. Yep. But since you don't have that much insight as to what is where, or like what you're really preparing for.
Yeah.
And also because there isn't that much of like a time constraint, I feel like you're just kind of collecting. You can just collect as many power-ups as you want, kind of willy-nilly. At the end of my Smash Run when I played, I felt like I was pretty close to max on like all my stats.
Okay. Okay.
And it would be neat if like you really had to pick and choose, like, oh, because maybe my opponent is playing a faster character than me, so I want to buff my speed up.
Absolutely.
Maybe I want to focus on my power because, you know, whatever reason, based on your play style or how you want to how you want to do things. But it seems more like you don't have to make that choice.
Yeah.
So maybe with a time constraint, maybe that would be,
Yeah, and I have to put out there, I do totally appreciate the random element as well. I do like the idea that like you don't know what you're jumping into necessarily.
Yeah.
But I think the idea of having a little insight does help. Oh, so these bugs, every time you hit them, they're basically dropping trophies left and right. So you want to just try and pound on them as soon as you can.
Are those the bugs from Pikmin or what?
You know, I was asking myself this question, and it sort of looked that way. I wasn't entirely sure, so I kind of left it at, all right, well, and there goes a huge trophy.
Wow.
And look at so if you notice on the bottom screen where player 1 is sort of listed, you see just across the top a row of trophies and icons and things.
Yeah.
And that, you rack up a lot of rewards in this mode. That's one thing that I will say is to the benefit of the 5-minute time limit.
Yes.
Like you are going to unlock and get a lot of stuff over repeated play, and that's cool ultimately.
Yeah.
But definitely I was sort of hoping for a way to sort of trim it down in case I didn't have 5 minutes.
Right.
But we'll ultimately see how this all shakes out. And we are 10 seconds away from a random battle, which is going to happen in a few seconds. Kirby has not died, too. I got to give him props. Brendan is really working right now. He's probably sweating over there.
Yeah, looks like it.
But he's doing a good job. And here we are. We're going to get tossed into the match. And let's see who's got the stat advantage right now.
And this is a free-for-all. This is 4 players.
Yes, wow. There goes that jump. No wonder he was going so high. Yeah, and also his attack is pretty well. So is his defense. He's kind of behind in arms.
Arms is what? Like your range?
Oh, with items? Okay.
Oh, makes sense.
Okay. So now we have a stock smash. So, okay, cool. This is a standard match. Let's see how many stocks we're working with.
And you can you customize what like what stock count you want? Like
no, this is completely random. So it's a stock match for a minute. So
1
it's
minute.
Just hurry up and eliminate as many people as possible. And we're back here on our Xenoblade stage.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I see, and it's it looks like 2 stocks a person.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
Fair enough.
But for a minute. So let's see who takes the first stock here.
Yeah.
And just a lot of
I'm not. Meta Knight, unfortunately, SDing.
Ooh. All right. Well.
Also known as a self-destruct.
Yep.
In the common parlance.
Yep. Yep. And
this is like lizard characters versus Kirby characters.
That is true, actually.
I wonder if that was intentional.
Pokemon versus Kirby's.
Yeah.
I just realized this as well.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Lizard Pokemon, I should say.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it seems to be.
Well,
okay,
Meta Knight's SD hurt, unfortunately, but it looks like he's doing a pretty good job on the second stock.
Ooh. Did we lose Kirby? No, we did not.
Thank
you, Brendan. You don't want to do that.
Yeah. I mean, maybe that jump stat that he racked up.
Yeah. Oh, it may have. Yeah. No, because he was just hitting the ceiling and staying there during Smash Run. Yeah, that was.
It looks like
quite a sight.
Man, Kirby's not going to be able to bring this back. Yeah.
All right, we're
3
at
stocks
time.
to 2.
And the winner is.
Of course, the Pokemon team.
All right. There you have it.
Just can you if you wanted to make the match at the end of the Smash Run longer, is that possible? Do you know?
No.
Interesting.
Yeah.
It's
also,
always going to be 1 minute?
It is. Well, it's always a random match. So it can change, right? So sometimes it's a race. Sometimes it's 300% Smash. Sometimes it's just a standard free-for-all for a minute or timed. It is always different for the most part. We haven't quite figured all the variants on it yet, but we are definitely working on that.
For sure.